Okay, so let's continue studying מסכת חולין, דף מ"ז עמוד ב'. אמר עולה, אמר רבי יוחנן, בכבוד.
אמר עולה, אמר רבי יוחנן, הריאה שנשפכה, כקיתון,
Alright, and this is fascinating that they would say that הריאה, a lung, where after you slaughter the animal, it ends up that the inside somehow part of the inside is liquefied. It's kashera. And this has to do, so let's first understand the pathology of what's going on here. So the pathology is that there was some sort of infection or abscess which led to necrosis, which basically is a breakdown of the tissue of the lung, which means that the lung or the tissue of the lung becomes liquefied. Now, when I first studied the sugya, I was a little surprised. If this isn't terefa, what is terefa? You're saying that if the lung is pierced, it's terefa, but if the part of the lung is liquefied, so nishpeka kקיתון, it's not terefa. And yet apparently it's true. When you have the outer membrane of the lung intact, even if the inner part of the lung is undergoing necrosis, as long as the bronchial tubes, and we're going to see later on that the Gemara will discuss bronchial tubes, as long as the bronchial tubes are intact, the breathing can continue, and the animal can continue living by breathing through the bronchial tubes into the lungs. So, shocking as this statement is, it's from a bovine anatomy or medical perspective, it's accurate. So הריאה שנשפכה כקיתון, הריאה שנשפכה כקיתון כשרה. Let's just see how Rambam brings this law. We have אות קוף, מימוניות שם הלכה ט'. So this is פרק זין, הלכות שחיטה. פרק זין הלכה ט'. Yeah, you want to use mine just to save time.
הריאה שנשפכה כקיתון, וקרום העליון שלה הקיים, שלם בלא נקב.
You see, he's medayek. He says, of course, when we say the שנשפכה כקיתון, it's on condition that the outer kerum is intact, right? It's considered kashera. All right, we're going to now continue and see the sugya. So that's Amar Ullah, Amar Yochanan, הריאה שנשפכה כקיתון כשרה עלמא כסבה.
עלמא כסבה, חיסרון בבפנים, לשמה חיסרון.
So the first issue with the שנשפכה כקיתון, putting aside the pathology and putting aside the mortality or lack of mortality of the cow, put those things on the side. I spoke about it from a medical perspective, if that's the right word, or veterinary perspective. But the Gemara was going to question this statement because the Mishnah says הריאה שנקבה או שחסרה, right? We said הריאה שנקבה או שחסרה, right? The Mishnah in the beginning of Perek Elu Terefot, the Mishnah is found at the beginning of the chapter, but I believe it's Membet Amud Aleph, הריאה שנקבה או שחסרה. Now, the question is as follows: isn't this הריאה שחסרה? I mean, the inside of the lung became liquefied and underwent necrosis, or part of the lung underwent necrosis at least, right? So it got liquefied. So this is mamash הריאה שחסרה. So the question that the sugya or the yeshiva is dealing with is, this is הריאה שחסרה. You understand? So itive means like a metivi. It's a strong kushya. Itive Rabbi Abba le'ula. So when Rabbi Abba heard this, he pushed back. Right? He pushed back. You're breaking a Mishnah. That's a pushback, right? So itive Rabbi Abba le'ula.
itive Rabbi Abba le'ula. הריאה שנקבה או שחסרה, מה חסרה? אילמה מבחוץ, היינו נקבה.
אלא לאו מבפנים, ושמע מנה
חיסרון מבפנים,
שמא חיסרון. So there's a couple layers to the Abba's pushback. First he quotes a Mishnah. הריאה שנקבה או שחסרה. He says או שחסרה. So what does the word או שחסרה mean? מה חסרה? You're going to want to tell me, Mr. Ullah, oh no, don't bring me this Mishnah as a proof against me. This Mishnah is dealing with an inner hasera, where the inner part of the lung got liquefied. But that's not what hasera means. Hasera means the outer part of the lung. So there's no kushya in this Mishnah to what I just said. So Rabbi Abba is anticipating Ula's answer. Oh, you're going to tell me, you're going to say, my chasela mi bachus. You're going to tell me that chasela means mi bachus. And therefore, this Mishnah is not contradicting the statement of my teacher, Rabbi Yochanan. My teacher, when he said liquefied, that's the inside. The Mishnah, which has chasela is the outside. Don't. So Rabbi Abba is saying, don't give me that explanation. Ilema mi bachus hainu nikava. But if it's chasela mi bachus, there's no greater example of nikava. That mi bachus means that part of the outer lung is missing. Part of that's a nekev. I mean, what a small nekev is no good, but if it's a big nekev, it's good. So therefore, the only way to explain Osha Hasera is what?
Hasera.
Mibifnim. Exactly. It can't be mibachus. Right? Because if it was mibachus, if you had a lung, let's say you had a lung.
Yeah.
And part of the outside membrane was missing.
Yeah.
I don't need Osha Hasera to tell me that this lung is taref.
If part of the outside is missing?
It's nikava. It's covered by nikava.
Yeah.
If you say a small hole is taref, the big hole is not taref. I mean,
so what it's like liquefied.
No. The point is as follows. Hold on one second. Let me just, you'll see. שני קרומות.
שני קרומות יש להם.
We're reading פרק ז' הלכה א', הלכות שחיטה. שני קרומות יש על הריאה.
אם נקב זה בלא זה, מותרת.
אם נקבו שניהם.
טרפה.
So we see that the nekev, it's the nekev is on the outer portion of the lung, right? That's what nikava means, right?
But it needs to be both of them, not only that.
Oh no, of course, it has to be nekev that goes through both layers. You're 100% correct. Okay. All right. So that's enough. So when we say hasela, when you say hasela, you want to say that the outer portion of the lung is hasela. But if the outer portion was hasera, that would be a nekev.
Okay.
So why do we have to say Osha hasera?
So like also the inner ones. That's your.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Okay,
I mean, if it wasn't, then there would be no even. There wouldn't even be a question, right? We already said that if you took off the kerum ha'elyon and not the kerum ha'tachton, it's ki ahina barda, right? Okay. What was it again? No. There was a statement of Rav Yosef Bar Minyomi, I think it was. You remember in Mem Zayin, Mem Vav Amud Aleph, he says, Amar Rav Yosef Bar Minyomi, Amar Rav Nachman Simani kituna de barda lemitnach bare'ah, right? So it protects it. But anyway, the point is that hasera has to be it can't be on the outside. That's a nekev. So the nekev is on the outside. So the only way you can explain hasera is on the inside. Now, if you say hasera is on the inside, how on earth could Rabbi Yochanan say that it got liquefied and like it pours out and it's kasher? That's not hasera, right? That's what hasera. So that's a question. Okay, so let me go back to our inyan.
So it's the karma tata'a that got liquefied.
No. That's not the karma. The inside. This is the lung. Here's a picture of the lung. We're looking at a picture of the lung.
So it's not any of the layers.
No, it's not the membranes. It's the actual lung tissue itself. The lung tissue itself, part of it or some of it got liquefied, or we don't know how much. It got liquefied.
Okay.
Okay. So ilema mi bachos. What are you gonna say hasera? You're gonna want to tell me, Mr. Ulla, that hariאה hasera means the outside hasera, but the inside it's kosher. It's hasera. But that doesn't make any sense. Haino nikava. The case of the outside portion of the lung being missing would be nikava.
So when you think outside, you don't mean the layers outside. You mean the outside of the lung itself, Kilo?
No.
Not the skin. Not
no. We mean the layers. I mean, if part of the lung. I mean, let's say here. Let me show you this picture. Yeah. Is this a picture? Let me see another picture. Okay. Let's just say look at this picture.
Yeah.
Imagine this is the entire lung, although it's showing you the bronchial tubes, but ignore it. Imagine this is the lung. Let's say I chopped off a piece here.
That's hased.
Well, the point is that would be from the outside. I mean, I don't need hasel to tell me that you don't have a bigger nekev than that.
Yeah. Oh, so you're saying
it's like a nekev. I mean, mamash a nekev. You can't get more of a nekev. Take the lung, chop off the bottom part, which included the kerum ha'elyon and the kerum ha'tachton and the lung and everything. I mean.
You're saying what's hasel for?
So what do you mean hasel? I mean, this is like just say hariאה nikava, and obviously this is you don't have a bigger nekev than this.
Okay.
By definition, ipso facto, well, I don't know if that's ipso facto, but it doesn't matter. Okay, we're you understand the point, right?
Yeah.
Here, let me show you. Yeah, just imagine this is the Riאה. So imagine there's two membranes around this. So you're right. If the membranes, both membranes are nikava, we know it's terefa. Now imagine I chopped off this thing. So I just chopped off this
both
thing,
membranes,
both membranes and a piece of the flesh. I mean,
like
that's a nekev. That's a nekev. So I don't need hariאה hasera. So the only reason I would need hariאה hasera is if I only hasera on the inside and not hasera on the outside.
Or in that case, you wouldn't be touching any of the
membranes, exactly. You're not touching the membranes.
Right.
Meaning the case where the membranes are fully intact.
Yeah.
And the inside of the lung is hasera, that would be hariאה hasera. And then I would need the Mishnah to tell me, that hariאה hasera is terefa. Right? That's a good example. It looks red like a lung. Okay. All right. Okay. We have to say that hariאה hasera is giving us something new. It's not repeating nikava. So it's telling us that on the inside hasera. Ushma minna. And from here we learn, from the Mishnah we learn hisaron. Shemeh hisaron. From here we learn that if there's something missing on the inside of the lung, it's terefa. It's terefa. Even though the two outer membranes are intact, the Mishnah must be teaching us when it says oshe hasera, it must be teaching us a case where the two outer membranes are intact, but hasera on the inside. There's no other way to explain the Mishnah. Otherwise, because if you could explain the Mishnah, that it means like a chopped part of the lung got chopped off completely. Okay, but that's hariאה nikava by definition. Right.
Okay. لا علم بحوث.
No. hariאה hasera means hariאה hasera מבחוץ. Oh, but wait, hold on. But I thought you said that if it's hasera מבחוץ, it's automatically nikava.
Okay. وذكاء أمرت هينو نكافة.
ودكاء أمرت
هينو نكافة لا تاريخ.
لا سريخة إلا لربي شمعون.
Okay. لا تاريخ إلا لربي شمعون.
And this, your question that you asked was a good question. That if it's hasira מבחוץ, that's exactly the case of nikava. So you're right. We don't need this. We don't need hariאה hasira. We could have just learned hariאה nikava, and that would have included the case of hasira מבחוץ. But for the Rabbi Shimon, when the Rabbeinu HaKadosh edited the Mishnah, he had the Rabbi Shimon in mind. The Amar, what was Rabbi Shimon's shita?
תעמר עד שתנקב לבית הסימפונות.
עד שתנקב לבית הסימפונות. That in order for a nekev to be a nekev, it has to be all the way to bet hasimponot, the bronchial tubes. So for meaning for us, you have the two outer layers of the lung.
Yeah.
It's enough that the two outer layers are pierced.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's terefa. For the Bishimon, no, that's not terefa. If the two outer layers are pierced, it's not terefa until it reaches the bronchial tubes of the lung. Only if it reaches the bronchial tubes. You see these bronchial tubes? These are like them. Then it would be terefa for the Bishimon.
Yeah. No. Then what would be hasera for the
Bishimon? So for the Bishimon, okay, so now let's look at it this way. Hold on just 1 second.
Maybe.
Let's just continue. So read it. La sericha ella Rabbi Shimon.
La sericha ella Rabbi Shimon. So
again, Rabbi Shimon has the shita that a nekev through the two membranes is not enough. If the re'ah is nekuva, kirum ha'elyon and kirum ha'tachton are both nakuv, it would be kasher. The nekev has to reach bet hasimponot, the bronchial tubes. And if it didn't reach the bronchial tubes, the lung is kosher, the animal is kosher. But when do we say the animal is kosher? Unless the nekev reaches the bronchial tubes, the bet hasimponot. Assuming it's a piercing, meaning like a thin piercing where none of the flesh is actually missing. For example, you stick a needle through a balloon. When you stick a needle through a balloon, none of the membrane of the balloon or substance of the balloon, it's just you're pushing, the needle is like pushing through and pushing everything to the side, right? So there's no hisaron there. So when does Rabbi Shimon say that in order for a nekev to be considered taref, it has to reach be'et hasimponot? That's nekev delet behisaron. That all it's doing, it's a piercing. It's not actually removing flesh. In that case, he says, if it reaches be'et hasimponot, taref. If it doesn't reach be'et hasimponot, kasher. But nekev de'it behisaron, right?
אבל נקב דאית בחיסרון, אפילו רבי שמעון מודה.
But why? So this Osher Hasira teaches us that if it's nekev that has a hisaron, it's not just that, like a piercing. Imagine a needle going
It
through.
didn't reach Bet Hasimponot.
It didn't reach Bet Hasimponot, but some of the two kerumot in one spot were like missing.
That's Hasira.
That's Hasira. And for the Bishimon, that would be considered Hasira.
Yeah.
And for the Bishimon, that's a chidush, because from Nekuva he wouldn't have learned that.
Yeah.
Because Nekuva has to be all the way to the bronchial tubes. But he was not just Nekuva, it's Hasira. Right. And therefore, even for the Bishimon, this will be considered Terefa. So that's the difference between Nekev De'it B'Chisaron and Nekev De'let B'Chisaron. Right? Beautiful explanation. So the Mishnah, and you see this is one of the ideas of horizontal society, is that when Rabbeinu HaKadosh wrote the Mishnah, it wasn't the book of people think it's a code, it's a Jewish code law. That's not a code. It encodes, I'm using the same word, in a completely different sense. It encodes Jewish memory. Yeah. And part of Jewish memory was the Shita of Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon had a different idea. So we're encoding in the Mishnah the memory of Rabbi Shimon's opinion on the bronchial, that has to reach the bronchial tubes, right? It's a fantastic idea. When you study horizontal society, it's just poteach shanim b'tmuna. You understand what's happening in the sugya, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. So if you look at this as a book which comes to encrypt Jewish memory, and now you have to decode it or decrypt it, right? In data processing, as you know, I deal with data processing law, and a lot of the things I have to do. Sometimes you need to encrypt data. Because if you don't encrypt data, you're not protecting let's say I have personal information about somebody, or a company has personal information, you have to encrypt it, right? And it has to be encrypted completely where it can't be decrypted. Now, sometimes you need to decrypt the information. So you have the decryption code. So the Sugya gives us the decryption of the Mishnah. The Mishnah encrypted the memory of Rabbi Shimon. If you look at the Mishnah, I don't say Rabbi Shimon, where's Rabbi Shimon? But the Mishnah is giving us the decryption key through which now we understand what the Mishnah was. The Gemara, the Sugya is giving us the decryption key through which we can now open up the Mishnah and understand this idea. And they have a beautiful notion, really. Yeah. I mean, Shteda Alav Shalom Harenin Kapara Mishkavo was generations beyond his time. Nobody understood the Torah Shebe'al Peh, the Torah. Nobody understood Torah like him. I mean, people knew law, and there was very nice Chachamim, Talmidei Chachamim, who knew law, and then Bekiut, and and things like that. But to understand the Torah at the depth he understood it, there was nobody. Okay. All right, let's continue.
Rabbi Hananiah Halash.
Okay, so Rabbi Hananiah got sick, and this is in the days. I mean, this is Rabbi Hananiah bar Hamma. Rabbi Hananiah bar Hamma, he lived in the days of Yavne, because after the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed by Vespasian, well, he was going to destroy it, but then he left back to Rome because he became the emperor. The point is, the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, but before it was destroyed, Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, where is it? In Gitin, I think Nun Vav, if I'm not mistaken, Amud Aleph, right? I think it was Nun Vav. Okay, we'll look later. It was Adon Nun Vav Nun Tep. In that situation, Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai asked Vespasian to give him Yavne. So they moved the Sanhedrin or the Yeshiva from the Bet HaMikdash, they moved to Yavne, and so that was a generation of, and also he asked that Rabban Gamliel, the son of Rabban Shimon Gamliel, there was Hillel, there was Rabban Shimon, there was Rabban Gamliel Hazaken, all during the days of the Bet HaMikdash. Then there was Rabban Shimon Gamliel Chazit, he was killed by the Romans in Machshamam. He was killed by the Romans. And Rabban Gamliel de Yavne, he was very young, but Rabban Yochanan Zakkai asked the Romans for permission to appoint Rabban Gamliel de Yavne as a Rosh Yeshiva in Yavne. So that was Yamel Zchuto, okay? Yeah. And then his grandson was Rabbeinu HaKadosh. That's Rabban Yochanan Zakkai. Ben kach uben kach.
Wait, the grandson of רבן יוחנן בן זכאי או רבן גמליאל?
The grandson, no, the grandson of Rabban Gamliel that was saved by Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. So Rabban Gamliel Diavne, his son was Rabban Shimon Gamliel, the second Rabban Shimon Gamliel, and then his son was Rabbeinu HaKadosh. So now, 1 second, please. Just want to correct something I said. This is not Rabbi Hanina bar Hamma. Rabbi Hanina bar Hamma was a Mora in Eretz Yisrael. This Rabbi Hanina is a Tana in the third generation, and he was from the Chachamim of Yavne. There's a story in the Gemara that apparently his father was Noder Nezirut, and then he wanted to, because he was Katan, so a father could be Noder Nezirut for his child. But then apparently he wanted to do some sort of Hatara, so he brought him before Rabban Gamliel Yavne to check if he was a Katan, and the Nezirut is Hala, or to check if he's not a Katan, in which case the Nezirut lo Hala. But Rabbi Hanina told Rabban Gamliel Yavne, if I'm a Katan, then Nezirut Hala. If I'm a Gadol, then Haleni Mekabel Al Nezirut Me'achshav. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, Benkach or Benkach. It's this Rabbi Hanina, just based upon the Chachamim that come to visit him. That's why I reached that conclusion. He was an old man at this point, and this is like a younger generation. Okay. So, Rabbi Hanina Halash, and then he became sick. Rabbi Natan. This is the famous Rabbi Natan Bavli. There was Rabbi Natan wanted to. There was I believe I'm getting this right. He wanted to impeach together with Rabbi Meir. He was a friend of Rabbi Meir, and he wanted to impeach Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, the son of Rabban Gamliel Diavne. His son was Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, and he was the father of Rabbeinu HaKadosh. So Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Natan, they didn't like Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. They had an issue with him, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's in the Gemara, we can study it one day. But the point is, they wanted to impeach him. They were going to impeach him. Like they were going to ask him questions, and he wasn't going to know the answers. But the whole plan was divulged to him, so he knew all the answers. And he kicked him out of the Bet Midrash. Okay, Bekach or Bekach. Okay, so this is Rabbi Natan. So Ali Gabayu, Rabbi Natan. It's always nice to know a little about the Chachamim when you read about the Chachamim, right? Yeah. So Rabbi Hanina Halash, Ali Gabayu, Rabbi Natan. Lechol Gedolei Hador, Aitu Kameh. All the Gedolei Hador came together with Rabbi Natan to do Bikor Cholim to Rabbi Hanina. I'm sorry. Lechol Gedolei Hador. Period. I misread it. Again, Rabbi Hanina Halash, Ali Gabayu, Rabbi Natan, Lechol Gedolei Hador. Chavot. Aitu Kameh.
הריאה שנשפכה כקיתון.
They brought him in הריאה שנשפכה כקיתון. They said, ילמדנו לבדנו, he said, kasher. So now we know where Rabbi Yochanan got this idea from. Okay.
אמר רב והוא דקיימי סימפונות.
When do we say הריאה שנשפכה כקיתון כשרה? Not under all circumstances, obviously. You know, if the entire lung underwent necrosis and the whole thing is liquefied, the animal is dead. It can't breathe. So that's why it's so important, the clarification of Rava, vehu dekaime simponot, that the bronchial tubes are still intact.
אמר לרב אחב ברד רבה לרבשה מנה יזעינן
How do we know whether the simponot were intact or not intact? Maitinan sa'ad dekunya
ושפכינן לה
begaveh. We take a sa'ad dekunya, we take like a ceramic basin which is glazed with glass. That's sa'ad dekunya. Let me see what the aroch has here. Amor Mechila. Okay, I'm on the wrong page. Let's see what the aroch has here. Okay, Amar Abba. No. No. Okay, no, not at this point. Anyway, it's a ceramic basin with glazed glass, right? So you pour it into it. שוריקה טרפה ועילה. And if not kosher, it's so if you see the shurikah hibare, you see like white strands inside the liquid, those are the bronchial tubes we're looking at. And the fact that they poured out means that they were liquefied. That's terefa.
Yeah.
But if you don't see the white strands, I mean the bronchial tubes are still intact, and it's kashera. Okay?
Okay. אמר רב נחמן, ריאה שנימוקה וקירום שלה קיים כשרה.
Right. So you have a ריאה שנשפכה. And the kerum shela kayam is keshera. So let's finish the sugya next time because I have to leave. We'll finish Belina the next time. Okay? We at least do 25 minutes.